Hello. Today we'll be making our first Python video. Today we'll be trying to accomplish a challenge that my dad gave me. So, the main target of this challenge of sorts is the user will input a number. This number can be the number of rows, let's say. And from this, the computer, or in this case Python, will make the computer be able to create a diamond with that many rows. So like let's say the user inputs 4, then it should have 4 rows and a diamond. But to add a plot twist or like increase the difficulty, my father also included a thing. So like we couldn't just make them asterisks being copied over or written down. We have to be able to make numbers. So like if there's 4 rows that we are going to be using, there needs to be 1 in the first row, letter 1. In the second row there should be 2, 3. In the third row there should be 4, 5. In the last row, or the fourth row, there should be 6. So let's open up Paint to better understand this. Paint. Although I'm not that great of a mouse artist, honestly. So let's say the user inputs a number which is even. So if this is the number of rows, so there should be 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row, 5 row, 6 row. But now in the first row, this will be 1. Second row will be 2, 3. And it needs to be spaced out like this. It can't just be a triangle. It needs to be a diamond shaped. And since this is 6 rows, so there should be 1 in 1, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, 3 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth. So it should be looking something like this. Oh, I'm terrible at drawing on this one. Anyways, so this one will be 4, 5, and 6, right? And then it will be 7, 8, 9. Then it shouldn't be representing 10 because then it'll be 2 digits. So anything after that will be passed through a modulo of 10. Therefore, the remainder will be written down. So 0, 10 modulo 10 is 0, then 1, and then 2. So this should be the output if the user inputs 6. So for this, we will not use Visual Studio Code anymore. We've broken free from it. I have installed something called PyCharm, which is a very useful, Python editor. And Python is like the growing language of the era at this point. Next time it will probably be a language called Jaguar. Anyways, not getting sidetracked that terribly. So let's see. I also want to import or like add certain things to this project. For example, I want it to be a repeating thing so people can see it. Okay, buddy, now, cool. Let's go over to a different path. Come on, can I I haven't used this much, okay? I usually work in JavaScript, as you guys might know. Desktop, sure. Not really what I'm looking for, but sure. So let's see if I can go over to the F drive. I'm in the F drive. Here, I'm gonna go over to my place. It's supposed to be code. Why? I don't know why it's called this. This window. Ta-da! So now we have everything set up in PyCharm, or like the place that we'll be working in set up in PyCharm. Now if I just right click on this new Python file, let's name it Diamond. It sounds weird, but sure, Diamond. Diamond.py, it has been created. Now, so first, let's start off with a while loop. Actually, we'll include the while true, so it keeps going forever and ever. But, okay, let's go one by one. I want to import OS, and I want to import time. So first of all, you would notice that OS is looking weird. So we can see if it's working by just like doing something system. So we don't have to pip install OS and time because those are usually there in PyCharm. Usually, not always, but most of the time. Anyways, let's get into it. While true, so this should repeat forever. It should ask for a prompt. Prompt will be asking for an input. The input should be in integer form. So inputs usually give the computer the input in strings for this case, and by wrapping it around this int function, we're getting it in integers, so it's easier to work with for our case. Enter the number of rows because according to Paint, which, yeah, it should be asking for the number of rows. And let's also dot strip this. Dot stripping it is technically just removing any extra spaces that might be present. So like someone might enter space 7, and that will throw an error if we don't dot strip it. So we've done that. Now we need a variable num. Whoa, did I just like do a minus equal to int, and this will be the prompt, or like whatever the number of rows we get, and we'll divide that by 2, resulting us to be able to create only 2 triangles, which is easier than creating one whole diamond. So this will get the middle point of it, if you know what I mean, which you probably don't. Anyways, after that, we'll just print a blank. This is technically just leaving a line space between whatever is coming next. If I just run this right now, it'll just ask you for the number of rows, and then we have nothing to do with that, so yeah, it's working like it should be working. What is the problem here? Okay, n is equal to 1. We'll create a variable called n and set that to 1. And then we would need an for loop. We'll need a double for loop actually, and this one will be for I in range 1 to num plus 1. Why num plus 1, you might ask? Num plus 1 because, so for I in range, it'll start from 1 and go up till num. And since this is exclusive, if I just add 1, it will go up till 1 and not till num minus 1. So when that happens, I want another one called for j in range. This one should be going from what am I saying? Not from I. From 1 to num. This I and 1 business, it always has me confused. So now it'll go from 1 to every time it iterates over this number that we get like the half of the prompt, it will go till then and subtract the iterations and go till that iteration. So let's say I got 1. So I is 1 for now. Then it'll go from 1 to 1, so it'll just go 1. And then it will just print a space. This is for the spacing. And so this is for the spacing because as I mentioned before, my dad wants a diamond and not a triangle. This is for the spacing before the numbers pop up. And after this, in the for I loop, but not in the for j loop, I'll have another one called for calls in range from I to 0. It'll go from I to 0, so I'll sort of go backwards. It'll iterate backwards, but if I do I to 0, it'll have some weird stuff popping up. And I want it to go backwards by 1, so this is the way it should be iterating. It should be going backwards by 1, so -1. The third one is basically the way it should be iterating, honestly. Print, and for this case, it will print n, which is set to 1 for now. So then it'll be printing 1 in the first case. And then I'll just end it with a space. And then n plus equals 1. So what this is doing is every time it'll go over I, for the first time n will be 1. Next time it'll go over, n will increase by 1, so n is equal to 2. And so on and so forth. After this, however, you'll have, and if I keep doing that because like I'm more used to JavaScript, you know. And then this is the n modulo part I was talking about when I was showing the paint. Or n is greater than 10. It really shouldn't be or, it should be and, because if this is n the modulo, it's, yeah, it should be or, so it's checking for if the number is a multiple, if n is a multiple of 10, or if it's greater than 10. It should just set n to 0. You might wonder why, but trust me, for now. Anyways, okay. So now I'm just gonna print, and this is for the spacing, align spacing again. The weird thing about PyCharm is, the only thing that I don't really love about PyCharm, I don't know how to get this to work yet, because I haven't tried to get this to work yet. It is the line, like the line numbers. I want to know how many lines of code I wrote, instead of like trying and memorizing it. So here we have another for loop. This is for the, what is this one for? This is also, oh, this is for the ending spaces and the numbers. So we have another one. This is for the second triangle. This will form. So if I just comment those out and run this, it should be giving us something pretty solid. Not bad. 6. You might notice that this isn't really the way it should be going, but look, we're not done yet. We still have a long way to go. So let's stop worrying about that, and we still have, so this, okay, never mind. This is this for loop right here, the for I in range, the first for I in range loop. This one is for the top part of the pyramid, and the second one is going to be for the bottom part of the pyramid. So terminate that, uncomment these. Okay, let's keep going. This will go from 1 to num to 0, so num to 0. as -1 because this is going backwards, and it's like an upside down triangle, so it should be literally iterating over this, but backwards. And in a receding way. So for j in range, honestly, everything of this, or like challenges that my dad gives, he calls them algorithms, and I'm not really a great fan of those. But, those are really required. And those involve like logic and maths. So, yeah. And so what this does is adds the spacing, which this does, but in a receding way again. There was a space there. And now we have a 4 calls in range. Honestly, we could have just copied and pasted that, but I guess I just don't know how to make things easier for me. So yeah, for calls in range this, then I to 0, -1, same thing as this. Then for that, it should just print. Okay, better. It should print n and end it the space and n plus equals 1. And increases by 1. Here's the if statement. If n is greater than 10, then n is equal to 0. Actually, why do 2 different ones if I can just copy and paste this? Because I was going to do an elif and an elif where we could just use this or and do the same thing. So yeah, clearly you can tell by now that I don't know what I was going to get at. Okay, so now we're going to be using this import OS and import time for the first time. Okay, so first of all, we used import time because I wanted to sleep or wait for 2.5 seconds before doing this while loop over again, because that makes sense. Otherwise, if I don't have this is what it's like. Run diamond. Oh yeah, by the way, if you add okay. So in this case, whenever you add a odd number, enter an odd number, it inputs the number minus 1 amount of rows because the prompt divided by 2, and really having half a row makes no sense. So let's try an even number, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My PyCharm just crashed. Yeah, it does that. Python is a language which can be heavy on your computer sometimes. And that is literally why we had imported OS and Python and time. Because to prevent these, how to prevent, you might ask? Like, by that I mean, time.sleep, what it will do is delay the number of requests the while is making. And since it's a while true, which means it'll go on forever, it needs to calm down, if you know what I mean. Because otherwise it is constantly attacking your computer's random access memory, or RAM. So now we will do something which will clear it. So clear the previous information stored in your RAM. For that, we can use os.system. Was this for OS X and Linux? I don't know how to say that one. And since I'm on the Windows, let's try the system dot, and this one's CLR. So this one's Windows only. The CLR and Windows only. This one is OS X or Mac OS and Linux. I don't know how to say Linux. Is it Linux or Linux? Let me know in the comments below. So let's try it without that and let's see if it works. If it doesn't, so what did I just do? I don't know. Nothing is here, like it's just the editor. This is odd. Hello? Hello? Can I, help me? Okay, that's very weird. Save. Let's exit PyCharm. Let's try opening it up again. How's it just 800? Oh, it's just 801 characters that we wrote. That is very weird. So let's try opening it from here. PyCharm Community Edition. This is the bad thing about PyCharm. It crashes and cries and stuff, and you don't like that. It's not pleasant crashing. Just randomly crashes. There we go. So now it should be working. There should be an option to run it. Okay, chill out PyCharm. Okay. So if I press that, let's see what happens. Enter the number of rows. 8 rows. Press that. CLR, internal or external, operable. Okay, well that's weird. If I just uncomment this out and comment this in. Let's try it now. I think this is for running it. Yeah. 4. Clearly does nothing. Stop. Wait a minute. OS.system. I don't think this is imported well. Import OS. So if I just like copy this over, Control C, if I just copy this code over to, I was just doing some research on npx and npm, go over to REPL.it, which is a great site for, or an online IDE as it's called, Python, create REPL, creates a REPL. Anyways, okay, now we wait, Control V, if I just copy that over here, and I run this here, 5, okay, I think this one is a Linux, I think, so, run, 4, that is what should be happening if you're on a Linux or a Mac OS. It is os.system.clear. So what it does is it will go over all of this, wait for 2.5 seconds, clear your random access memory from this. Otherwise, your computer will just crash and die, technically. And you don't want that to happen because, like, beloved computer, I don't want you to die. And os.system.clear mainly does that, and since it's OS and it's dependent on the operating system of your computer, it is a bit sticky in some cases, but it works fine in REPL.it because I think this is a Linux IDE, like command prompt. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. That is how you make the diamond challenge thing in Python. Hope my dad likes it. Or that's what he wanted. I don't know. Anyways, that's how you make it. I'll have the GitHub repository to it down in the description. Please subscribe and like and comment on whatever you want to do. It really helps me out a lot. And well, see you in the next one. Peace.